What's going on, guys? With the 2017 World Championships right around the corner, players are finalizing their teams, asking friends for advice, and grinding out games to make sure they're prepared as well as they can be for the most prestigious VGC tournament of the year. Because many players use Pokemon Showdown to practice, it's important to be aware of when mechanics on Showdown aren't in line with how they behave on cartridge. Thanks to the hard-working staff at Pokemon Showdown, bugs are kept to a minimum. As par being a simulator, however, improper mechanics come up from time to time that either go unnoticed in the bug reports or are difficult to implement. In this video, we'll look at the top 10 Showdown glitches affecting competitive play today. I should note that I'm not considering something like graphical glitches for this list, or major glitches from the past, like the red card glitch in 2016. As a result, only improper mechanics known at the time of recording will be considered for this list. At number 10, we have the behavior of Z-Instruct. In-game, this move very innocently increases Oranguru's special attack by one stage before forcing its target to repeat the attack it did previously. On Showdown, however, Z-Instruct is super good, because it turns the instructed attack into its Z-move variant. In this example, I show off Oranguru Z-instructing Snorlax into +6 Z return. There's some really broken stuff you can do with this, and it's hilarious to use it in general. Coming in at number 9 is the interaction of Perish Song with moves that put the Pokemon in a semi-invulnerable state, like Skydrop, Dig, or Shadow Force. For example, if I use Skydrop with my Rufflet here, as my Marowak goes for a Perish Song, both Rufflet and Smeargle avoid the effects of Perish Song, leaving Marowak and Toucannon the only two Pokemon affected by the Perish counter. On Showdown, Perish Song still affects Pokemon in semi-invulnerable states, which is relevant to Skydrop, a move that sees usage. For number 8, we have an interesting interaction with the terrains of the Guardian Deities and their respective seeds. Suppose a Tapu switches in the place of another Tapu, holding the original terrain seed. For example, suppose Tapu Fini switches into Tapu Koko's terrain, holding the defense-boosting Electric Seed. On Showdown, Tapu Fini gets the Electric Seed boost before overriding the field with its own Misty terrain. However, in-game, Tapu Fini has no such luck. As you can see here, the seed did not activate for Tapu Fini when it switched in. Transformed traits are the topic for number 7. If you transform into a Pokemon in-game and are unsure of its ability, you can check the transformed Pokemon on the bottom screen to determine which ability the Pokemon has. On Showdown, however, only the base ability of the transformed Pokemon is revealed, like what you see in the summary screen. For example, Ditto simply shows Imposter as its ability on Showdown, rather than Rough-Skin or Sandbale from this Garchomp. This actually has quite a bit of impact in balanced Hackmons, where Imposter Chansey is S-ranked due to its enormous HP stat. Because balanced Hackmons allows a large number of abilities, determining which your opponent has can be critical information in that tier. Remember early Sun and Moon, where Memento and Parting Shot were banned on Battle Spot because of a glitch causing the player to disconnect after using their Z variants? While it's nothing so serious for glitch number 6 on our list, these Z moves still exhibit bizarre properties not reflected on Showdown. If Z Memento or Z Parting Shot are stopped in some way, notably by Protect, but the users are still removed from the field on the same turn, their replacement still gets its HP restored. In this example, Alolan Persian uses Z's Parting Shot into Celesteel's Protect, and feints to Tapu Lele's Moonblast. However, now Tapu Koko, which sustained a bit of chip damage from its Life Orb recoil earlier that turn, comes in and gets the healing effect of Z Parting Shot still. This HP restoring effect also occurs via Roar and other means of forcing a switch out. Although Z Parting Shot's effect is still probably wasted if used into Protect for most situations, it certainly gives the option of buff that players currently do not have on the simulator. Starting at number 5, our mechanics relate more to general situations rather than specific interactions. When grassy terrain is present on the field, you can determine the speed order of Pokemon based on the order of grassy terrain recovery. For example, Pheromosa will always receive grassy terrain recovery before Gigalith in normal situations. This information can be key mid-match, allowing players to determine speeds between Pokemon without the risk of a direct interaction. In addition, Leftovers healing occurs simultaneously with grassy terrain recovery, so it can be used to confirm speed order at the same time. In this example, you can see that Celesteela is a point slower than Marowak, and it recovered from Leftovers after Marowak recovered from grassy terrain. Because Showdown checks Leftovers and grassy terrain separately, however, sometimes situations arise that are misleading to the player. In this example, Leftovers Landorus T felt free to U-turn on my Tapu Bulu, because Leftovers recovery went before Tapu Bulu's grassy terrain. Instead, it got bopped by a Boom Doom. For number 4, we have force slot switching. It's honestly a pretty simple mechanic. If you have one Pokemon remaining to be sent in for a double battle, your Pokemon is forced into the left slot in-game. You cannot send out your Pokemon into the right slot at all. While this might seem trivial at first, it has important implications with Leech Seed recovery. If a Leech Seed was previously laid down by, say, a Celesteela, it would be important to send out your final Pokemon in the same slot as a Leech Seed recovery, because otherwise the Leech Seed recovery would be inaccessible, locked in the other inaccessible slot. You don't have a choice in the matter on this in-game, but on Showdown, you're free to make the decision yourself. Number 3 is the only mechanic that deals with Team Preview on our list. On Pokemon Showdown, you can see if a Pokemon on the opponent's team is shiny, whereas in-game, only the Pokemon's mini-sprites are shown, which does not indicate shininess. This technicality becomes a whole lot worse when one realizes the amount of information this can leak before a match even begins. In VGC, Gyarados can only learn Bounce via a special event that is shiny locked. This means any Gyarados that isn't shiny can't have Bounce, which is critical information to know at Team Preview. To draw from other formats, Greninja, an extremely popular Pokemon in the OU tier, cannot both have Battle Bond and be shiny. To name a few more, Heatran with Eruption can't be shiny, Tornadus with Defiance can't be shiny, and Genesect cannot have extreme speed without being shiny. Now, you might think, well, it's revealed that the Pokemon is shiny once it gets sent out into battle, so what's the big deal? Talk to any OU player, and you'll soon learn that figuring out whether or not Greninja is Protean or Battle Bond without it touching the field can make all the difference in a game. Additionally, in team-locked best-of-3 formats like VGC, it's possible that a player wouldn't gain the shiny information from, say, a Game 1. While you should optimally always use shiny Gyarados in VGC, and never use shiny Greninja in OU, not all players do that, so the information shouldn't be given out where it isn't there in-game. At number 2, we have a rather unique mechanic for determining speed, which I call Feinted Speed Order Recognition. When 2 or more Pokemon faint during the same turn, their replacements are sent out in the order of the fainted Pokemon's speed. In this example, I show Tapu Lele and Arcanine's respective speed stats in the summary screen. As you can see here, Arcanine is 1 point faster than Tapu Lele. Note that at this point, the opponent does not know which is faster between Tapu Lele and Arcanine. Suppose both Arcanine and Tapu Lele go down this turn to Garchomp's Tectonic Rage and Celesteel's Heavy Slam. I have still not properly seen the speed interaction between these two Pokemon. When Gigalith and Pheromosa are sent out as replacements, whichever is sent out first will be indicative of which is faster between Tapu Lele and Arcanine. I already showed the speed stats, so Gigalith will replace Arcanine before Pheromosa replaces Tapu Lele here. This fainted speed order recognition also applies to the opponent's side of the field, so the Arcanine replacing the fallen Garchomp here demonstrates that Garchomp is faster than my own Arcanine as well. As we just saw, fainted speed order recognition takes into account all Pokemon that fainted during the turn. That can be from regular attacks, toxic, recoil, or some other factor. Another important thing to note is that fainted speed order recognition only checks the actual stat of a Pokemon, without modifiers from abilities or items. This makes checking Pokemon with Swift Swim or Choice Scarf, for example, a bit harder in the middle of a match. On Showdown, of course, this is not implemented correctly. Of course, Trick Room would reverse this speed checking in-game. Before we get to number 1 on our list, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Thanks to some research from Marty, we now know that Generation 7 rearranged the checks done before a Pokemon's attack successfully connects. This notably buffed King's Shield, as normal, fighting, and poison attacks that make contact into Aegislash will drop attack by 2 stages rather than just protecting from the move. While King's Shield's buff is implemented on Showdown, there are a few notable checks that are not implemented. Namely, Protect and Wide Guard are checked before Levitate, meaning a heat-proof Bronzong wouldn't reveal its ability if it protected against an Earthquake. Ground types with Lightning Rod now keep their special attack boost, unlike last generation. And finally, ground types can Magic Coat Thunder Wave. Retaining an optimal hidden power with Transform leads to some impossible IV combinations on Showdown that would work in-game. When a Pokemon transforms into another Pokemon with hidden power, the hidden power type is that of the Pokemon using Transform. For example, a Choice Scarf Smeargle with Transform may want to have IVs for Hidden Power Ice or Fire in VGC 17, rather than a probable Hidden Power Dark if all IVs were maxed out. Thanks to bottle caps in Sun and Moon, using weaker IVs for this Transform purpose is not an issue, since you can max out the IV while retaining the Hidden Power type. However, on Showdown there is no option to do this. If you wanted Choice Scarf Smeargle to have Hidden Power Fire when transformed, for example, you would be forced to suboptimally run a 30 speed IV at the moment. With those honorable mentions out of the way, our number 1 incorrect Showdown mechanic on our list is improper Super Citrus Berry checks. By Super Citrus Berry, I mean the berries that restore 50% of a Pokemon's HP when it is under 25% of its health, like the Figgy or Magoo Berry. These berries play a significant role in doubles formats, though they see use in singles as well. When multiple end-of-turn effects occur in a single turn, like Weather and Toxic, Weather and Grassy Terrain, and so on, Super Citrus Berry activation is only checked after all these effects occur on Showdown. This leads to 2 notable issues that affect competitive play, as well as other minor bugs. The first example is Weather and Grassy Terrain. Because Weather damage occurs before Grassy Terrain recovery, if Weather damages Arcanine here under 25%, the Super Citrus Berry should activate, restoring Arcanine's health to over 75% after Grassy Terrain is considered. However, as you can see, the berry does not trigger on Showdown, and Arcanine is left in a vulnerable position. A second example is multiple turns of, say, Hail and Toxic. Suppose Arcanine has taken multiple rounds of Toxic damage, notably where it does 25% or more of Arcanine's health, and Hail or Sand is also present on the field. If Weather knocks Arcanine into range of its Super Citrus Berry, endgame, you'd have the opportunity to heal up before taking extra Toxic damage. On Showdown, however, the Super Citrus Berry is bypassed, and you just straight up faint. Incorrect Super Citrus Berry mechanics have influenced matches I've had more than once, which is why it's number 1 on my list. So, what did you think of the list? Did you agree with my order? While I encourage you to comment below with your favorite glitch, it's more important for you to report bugs in the Bug Reports thread on Smogon. Please be courteous and read the first post and at least a page back from the end to see if your bug has already been reported. It seems like on every page someone posts about Illusion Zoroark or the interaction between Eject Button and U-Turn, both of which are not bugs. I also should note that the Showdown developers work on their own time, so I wouldn't expect all bugs to be addressed immediately. The majority of improper mechanics in this video, for example, were already reported, some of them by me. Nevertheless, I still encourage you to report bugs, as Showdown comes closer and closer to emulating the actual game. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Brightsize, who is extremely helpful in testing glitches on Showdown with me. Thanks so much. Until next time, have a good one.